Hello. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Okay, let's review the last section, section 2. What's section 2 about? Oh, the money. Oh, the money. Section 2 is all about money. Section 3. Section 3. Okay. The ancient alchemist. 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 Alchemist sought in vain to convert lead into gold. Modern alchemists have succeeded in that quest. Lead bullets of war have yielded an endless source of gold for those magicians who control the drug mechanism. The starling, the starling, starling, the starred, the starling. Fact emerges that without the ability to create fiat money, most modern wars simply would not have occurred. As long as the mechanism is allowed to function, future wars are inevitable. This is the story of how that came to pass. Okay. Chapter 11, the Rothschild formula. The rise of the House of Rothschild in Europe. The tradition among financiers of profiting from both sides of armed conflict. The formula. The formula by which war is converted into debt and debt converted back into war. Oh my God. So far we have adhered closely to the here a promise, 信守遵守 the paint adhere to any surface. 我们 adhere 粘附住接近 closely to the subject of money and the history of its manufacture. Manipulation by political and monetary scientists. 操纵 果然是 manipulation. Now, we are going to take a short detour. 绕行 oh my God. Detour along a parallel path and view some of the same historical scenery from different perspectives as we progress. It may seem that we have lost our way, and you may wonder what connection any of this can possibly have with the Federal Reserve System. Please be assured. However, it has everything to do with it. And when we finally return to that topic, the connection will have become painfully clear. The profits of war. 现在俄乌战争 The focus of this chapter. The focus of this chapter. Is on the profits of war, and more especially the tendency of those who reap those profits. Reap, 收割 reap. To manipulate governments into military conflicts, not for national or patriotic reason. Not for national or patriot 爱国 patriotic reasons, but for private gain. The mechanism by which this was accomplished in the past was more complex than simply lending money to warring governments and then collecting interest. Although that was part of it, the real payoff has always been in the form of political favoritism in the marketplace. Writing in the year 1937, French historian Richard Levinson explains, although often called bankers, those who financed wars in the pre-capitalist period were not bankers in the modern sense of the word. Unlike modern bankers who operate with money deposited with them by their clients, or in more recent times created out of nothing by a central bank, they generally work with the fortune which they themselves had amassed or inherited. And which they lent at a high rate of interest. Thus, those who risked the financing of a war were for the most part already very rich, and this was the case down to the 17th century. When they agreed to finance a war, these rich lenders did not, however, always attach great importance to the rate of interest. In this respect, we often show the greatest compliance to their august clients. But in return, they secured for themselves privileges which could be turned into industrial or commercial profits, such as mining concessions, monopolies of sale or importation, etc. Sometimes even they were given the right to appropriate certain taxes as a guarantee of their loans. So, though the loan itself carried a very real risk and often did not bring much interest, the indirect profits were very considerable, and the lenders' leniency well rewarded. Leniency, leniency, well rewarded. The Rothschild dynasty, the dynasty. No discussion of banking as a mechanism for financing wars would be complete without turning eventually to the name Rothschild. Complete without turning eventually to the name Rothschild. It was Mayer Rothschild who is quoted as saying, "Let me issue and control a nation's money, and I care not who writes the laws." Biographer Federal Model concluded that the Rothschild dynasty said, "Conquer the world more thoroughly, more cunningly, and much more lastingly than all the Caesars before or all the histories after them." The dynasty was began in Frankfurt, Germany, in the mid of the 18th century by Mayer Bauer, the son of goldsmith. Mayer became a clerk in the Oppenheimer Bank in Hanover, and was eventually promoted to junior partner. After his father's death, he returned to his home in Frankfurt and to continue the family business. Over the door hung a red shield with an eagle as a sign to identify the establishment. Dun, dun, dun. Over the door hung a red shield with an eagle as a sign to identify the establishment. To identify the establishment. The German word for the Russia are Rothschild. So he changed his name from Boer to Rothschild. and added 5 gold arrows held in the talons of the eagle to represent his 5 sons. The Rothschild fortune began when Mayer adopted the practice of fractional reserve banking. As we have seen, he was not alone in this, but the House of Rothschild greatly surpassed the competition. That was due to his sharp business acumen and also because of his 5 most unusual sons, all of whom became financial power centers of their own as they matured, and learned the magic of converting debt into money. They moved beyond the confines of Frankfurt and established additional operations in the financial centers not only of Europe but of much of the civilized world. Throughout the first half of the 19th century, the brothers conducted important transactions on behalf of the governments of England, France, Prussia, Australia, Belgium, Spain, Naples, Portugal, Brazil, various Japanese states, and other smaller countries. They were the personal banks of many of the crowned heads of Europe. They made large investments through agents in markets as distant as the United States. India, Cuba, Australia. The financiers of Cecil Road, making it possible for him to establish a monopoly over the diamond fields of South Africa. They are still connected with the De Beers. Biographer Wilson writes, those who lampoon or vilified the Rothschilds for their sinister influence had a considerable amount of justification for their anger and anxiety. The banking community had always constituted a fifth estate whose members were able, by their control of royal properties, to affect important events. But the House of Rothschild was immensely more powerful than any financial empire that had ever preceded it. It commanded vast wealth. It was international. It was independent. Royal governments were nervous of it because they could not control it. Popular movements hated it because it was not answerable to the people. Constitutionalists resented it because its influence was exercised behind the scenes secretly. 宪法支持人 secrecy, of course, is essential for the success of COBOL, and the Rockefeller's perfected the art by remaining behind the scenes. They were able to avoid the brunt of public anger, which was directly instead at the political figures which they largely controlled. This is a tactic which has been practiced by financial manipulators ever since, and it fully utilized by those who operate the Federal Reserve System today. Wilson continues. Clandestinity was and remained a feature of Rothschild's political activity. Seldom were they to be seen engaging in open public debate on important issues. Never did they seek government office, even when in later years some of them entered Parliament. They did not feature prominently in the Assembly chambers of London, Paris, or Berlin. Yet all the while they were helping to shape the major events of the day by granting or withholding funds, by providing statements with an official diplomatic service, diplomatic service, by influencing appointments to high office, and by an almost daily intercourse with the great decision makers who fortune in smuggle. Continual war in Europe create excellent opportunities for profit from smuggling. Scarce consumers. Scarce consumer goods past military blockades. Since the Russians often financed both sides in a conflict and were known to have great political influence, the mere sight of the red shell on the leather pouch, a carriage, or a ship's flag was sufficient to ensure that the messenger or his cargo could pass through checkpoints in either direction. This immunity allowed them to deal in a thriving black market for cotton goods, yam, tobacco, coffee, sugar, and indigo. And they moved freely through the borders of Germany, Scandinavia, Holland, Spain, England, and France. This government protection was one of those indirect benefits that generated commercial profits far in excess of the interest received on the underlying government loans. It is generally true that one man's loss is another man's gain, and even the friendliest of biographers admitted that for more than 2 centuries, the House of Rothschild profited handsomely from wars and economic collapse, the very occasions on which others sustained the greatest losses. Napoleon vs. the bankers. If one picture is worth 1,000 words, then one example surely must be worth 1,000 explanations. There is no better example than the economic war waged by the financiers of 19th century Europe against Napoleon Bonaparte. It is an easily forgotten fact of history that Napoleon had restored law and order to chaotic post-revolutionary France and had turned his attention not to war but to establish peace and improving economic conditions at home. He was particularly anxious to get his country and his people out of debt and out of the control of bankers. 这是 McNair Wilson. It was ordained by him that money should not be exported from France or on any pretext whatever except with the consent of the government, and that in no circumstance circumstance should loans be employed to meet current expenditure, whether civil or military. One has only to consider, Napoleon remarked it, what loans can lead to in order to realize their danger. Therefore, I would never have anything to do with them, and have always striven against them. The object was to withhold from finance the power to embarrass the government as it had embarrassed the government of Louis XVI. When a government declared its dependent for money upon bankers, they are not the leaders of that government control the situation, since the hand that gives it is above the hand that takes. Money, he declared, has no motherland. Financiers are without patriotism and without decency. Their sole object is gain. 这不可以吗？哪个可以？这不行。禁止在任何借口下将货币从法国出口。将货币从法国出口，除非获得政府同意。同时，无论任何情况都不得通过举债来弥补 whatever except the consent of the government, and that is no circumstance 任何形势下 no circumstance should loans be employed to meet current experiment. 只要想一想举债可能带来的后果，就能预料它的危险性。因此，我绝不会与贷款有任何牵连，并始终努力反对它。其目的在于防止金融实际上造成的空间，正如巴拿马当政府在承认一家银行时，增长的几率就不再是这么两个银行家，因为失于的一方远远高于接受的一方。金钱没有错过，金融家毫无爱国心，毫无道德可言。他们的唯一目的就是 It was by him that obtained money should not be exported from France on any pretext. Whatever except with the consent of the government. Any pretext. In no circumstance should loans be employed to meet current expenditure 引用开支 expenditure. One has only to consider what loans can lead to in order to realize their danger. Therefore, I would never have anything to do with them, and have always striven against them. Strive. The object was to withhold from finance the power to embarrass the government, as it had embarrassed the government to embarrassed. A government is dependent for money upon bankers. They are not the leaders of the government control situation. The hand that gives is above the hand that takes. Money has no motherland. Financiers are without patriotism, and without decency, and their sole objects gain. 天哪，拿破仑有 One of the first blows against the bankers was to establish an independent Bank of France, with himself as president. But even this bank was not trusted, and government funds were never placed into it. It was his refusal to borrow, however, that caused the most concern among the financiers. Actually, to them, this was a mixture of both bad and good news. The bad news was that they were denied the benefit of royalty payments on fractional money. The bad news was they were denied the benefit of royalty payments. The good news was that without resorting to debt, they were confident Napoleon could not militarily defend himself. Thus, he easily could be toppled and replaced by Louis of the old monarchic dynasty, who was receptive to banker influence. Wealthy Canadians. They had good hope of compass his downfall. None believed that he could finance war on a great scale now that the resource of paper money had been denied him by the destruction of the assigned. Where would he obtain the indispensable gold and silver to feed and equip a great army? Pitt, contented already on a coalition of England, Australia, Sweden, and numerous small states, some men would be put into the field. All the resources of England wealth, that is to say, of the world's wealth, would be placed at the disposal of this overwhelming force. Could the Corsican muster 200,000? Could he arm them? Could he feed them? If the League bullets did not destroy him, the gold bullets would soon make an end. He would be forced, like his neighbors, to continue hand in hand for loans and like them to accept the banker's terms. He could not put his hands on 2 million. So empty was the treasury and so depleted the nation's stock of metallic money. London waited with interest to see how the puzzle would be solved. Some solved the puzzle quite simply by selling off some real estate for some real estate. Those crazy Americans gave him for a vast swamp called Louisiana. A vast swamp. 他们有很大希望促使他们面向在纸币资源获得和他人的大规模资产来获得你指望这个科学家人这个第二个人A plan to destroy the United States. 啊，这个好长。这后边好长啊。By the 18th century, the House of Research have become one of the most successful financial institutions the world has ever known. It was meteoric rise. Its meteoric rise can be attributed to the great industry and sureness of the five brothers who established themselves in various capitals of England, of Europe, and forged the world's first international financial network. As pioneers in the practice of lending money to governments, they soon learned that this provided unique opportunities to play wealth into political power as well. Before long, most of princes and kings of Europe had came within their influence. The Rothschilds also had mastered the art of smuggling on a grand scale, often with the tacit approval of the governments whose laws they are violated. That was perceived by all parties as an unofficial bonus for providing needed fundings to those same governments, particularly in time of war. The fact that different branches of Richford's network also might be providing funds for the enemy was pragmatically ignored. Thus, a time-honored practice among financiers was born. Profiting from both sides, the research operated a highly efficient intelligence gathering system which provided them with advanced knowledge of important events, knowledge which was invaluable for the investment decisions exhausted when an exhausted research career delivered the first news of the Battle of Northern was able to deceive the London-born traders into a selling panic, and that allowed him to acquire the dominant holding of England's entire debt at but a tiny fraction of its worth. A study of these and similar events reveals a personality profile of not just of Richfield, but of that special breed of international financiers whose success typically is built upon certain character traits. Those include cold objectivity, immunity to patriotism, and indifference to the human condition. That profile is the basis for proposing a theoretical strategy called the Richford formula, which motivates such men to propel governments into war for the purpose they yield. This formula most likely has never been consciously phrased as it appears here, but subconscious motivations and personality traits work together to implement it. Nevertheless, as long as the mechanism of central banking exists, it will be to such men an irresistible temptation to convert that into perpetual war and war into perpetual debt. In the following chapter, we shall track the distinctive footprints of Richard's formula as it leads up to our own doorstep into the present day. Okay. Sink the Louisiana. Okay, I think that's all for today. 230 222. Okay, I think that's all for today. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.